All right, cool. All right, perfect. Hey, Brian, thanks for starting the recording. That was my next thing to ask. Perfect. All right, cool. All right. All right. Well, welcome everybody to 2024 high school football season. For some of us, basketball just got over with, and we're going to roll right into a game with a ball with a point to it. So we've been playing a little bit of round ball lately on a court, and be honest with you, I'm ready to get on the gridiron. Got to get rid of some of the snow around, though. Okay, well, I think what we'll do is that we're gonna kind of start off with. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of share with everybody the state of the game for all of us. I've been talking with Brian a little bit, and I got Brian went to the rules committee meeting back in January, and so at Brian's meeting, I know, Brian, you get this information. Pretty much you get a state of the game, at least information regarding how football is faring nationwide right now. And Brian, I did kind of do a little interview with you, but if you can just share your thoughts on how things are going nationally with numbers, participations, rule changes or anything?
Yeah, actually, the state of the game is good. Football is still going pretty strong. It is the most popular sport that is played in the United States, with currently a little over 1 million participants right now. A few years back, prior to the concussion days, we were up over 1.1 million participants playing football. And then after the concussion phase started, where we started really looking at concussions and diagnosing concussions and some of the concerns that that parents had with their youngsters playing football, those numbers started to drop. And then when COVID hit, we went down below 1 million participants, but we have started to progress back in a positive direction. So we've got currently over 1 million participants playing football. In terms of the state of the game, as far as rules go, I think this past year's rules that were voted on and passed really kind of suggest that the game ain't broken. Really, there was only one rule, which was more or less along the lines of a clarification than anything else. There were no rule changes that were proposed beyond last year's change, which modified the way that we enforce penalties. This year's change just had to do with defining a jersey, and a jersey being that it now states along the lines that all of the jerseys must be the same color. Doesn't necessarily have to be the exact same jersey. The idea is that you could bring a JV kid up and play him on varsity, but all it used to say was a dark jersey. And so what some schools down south started to do was they had a player of the week. He would get a special jersey to wear in the game that Friday night. And it didn't really determine or define what color it was. So your team colors might be green, but he shows up in a red jersey that night because he was the player of the week kind of thing. And so now the rules just clarifies that the jerseys all have to be the same basic color. And so beyond that was the only rule change or clarification that there was this year, which kind of suggests that, like I said, it ain't broke. So there haven't been a lot of changes. I mean, and we get a lot of regional proposals, but those seem to be more along the lines of some issues that some local associations or individuals might have that aren't necessarily worthy of a rule change. So from that perspective, the game is good. We're still having a lot of participants and we're still having fun doing it.
What about any Was there any reports on anything versus, like safety issues brought up?
Well, the main safety issue that continues to get brought up is always the concussion issue and trying to create a safer environment. Last year, we redefined what I can't think of the right word, and this is just my mind going on me, a vulnerable player is, and that also can include a defensive player being in a vulnerable position. But the big issue that continues to kind of creep up is safety in terms of the equipment that's worn and how it's worn. So it's just not an issue here in Alaska, but nationwide, we continue to see kids who wear pants improperly, pulling them up and covering the knee. And I don't think the injury report necessarily says that not having your knees covered puts you in a position to be injured, but oftentimes that hard knee hitting somebody else is where they tend to find injuries. So if I don't wear my pants correctly, it's not necessarily going to hurt me, but I could really hurt somebody else with my knee into the side of somebody's head or anything along those lines. So we still need to continue to police, be the uniform police at the beginning of the games. Those coaches still don't quite understand that when they say, yes, everyone is legally and properly equipped, the liability and responsibility that they have taken on.
Well, thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. I actually looked at the 2024 National Federation points of emphasis, and player equipment and enforcement is highlighted on that. So that brings me to the next question, which is also on the Federation points of emphasis, is sportsmanship. Again, sportsmanship is always something that's important to talk about, very highly important to talk about. I can tell you this. It seems to me that the rules in itself, I'm not necessarily sure that they're being simplified, but I don't think they're becoming overly complex. And the simplification of rules helps with our ability to enforce rules or fouls or penalties, or to determine whether a foul was worth throwing a flag on, or looking at, versus whether it's not a determination whether it affected the play or not. And so these kind of things within the rule book makes it sound complicated for officials. Now, we have a very good group here on today, and I don't know if we have any new people on here or not. If we do, we'd really like the new folks to please stay on afterwards so we can kind of get in touch with you and maybe get some information that we can make sure that you do get the ability to get on some of these Zoom training forums that we do host. And here in Anchorage, we also do some local live get-together groups as well. So, and we've talked about that, expanding that in the future as well. But as far as the sportsmanship issue, I'm going to kind of move into the Alaska state of the game. And I'm going to be honest with you. I thought last year was a pretty positive year overall. We had a few coaches, typically assistant coaches, where we had problems with, but I don't think I personally had any head coach problems at all last year. And if you all did, please let me know. Please let us know. But I thought that the head coaches did a very well job last year. That's not to say anything different about the fan behavior, though. We had several incidences with fan behavior that that still needs to kind of correct itself. One of the things that we are doing here in Anchorage, and I'm sure hope that you all are doing the same thing, you know, say down in Juneau or down up in Fairbanks or on the peninsula. It's important to hold the coach accountable for his players as well as his assistant coach, and developing a good relationship with the head coach is really, really important. And you want to be able to answer his questions. You want to communicate with him. But the other side of the coin is we are here in Anchorage are definitely holding administration, school administration, accountable for fan behavior, because I really don't expect the coach to be able to do that, but definitely we're going to, and we have been this last year, emphasizing the school administration take care of some issues, and we've had some good feedback from some of the school administration. So word is getting out, things are changing. I think the rules are making a safer game. I really do. I'll be honest with you. Everybody knows me. I'm an old school football guy, and it was the big blow 'em up. But you know, seeing the safety issues and, you know, kids actually getting hurt, I don't want to see that. And so I think here in Alaska we're doing a good job. So the next thing is recruiting. We have had nationally, there's been a challenge recruiting officials. And the report that I get from national, other associations outside of Alaska is, you know, people have tried all kinds of recruiting ideas, but the number one that has worked pretty solid is word of mouth. And so it takes us to share what we really have a passion for, and we really enjoy this game, to share our enthusiasm with others, to bring others in. Because right now, I can tell you this nationally, bringing young people into football officiating, and as well as in Alaska, we have a hard time bringing young folks in. And I don't know, there's a few of us old people on here right now. We got to pass the torch on to some of the young guys. And we do have some young folks on here right now, but young meaning late 30s, early 40s. So, you know, if we can try to, you know, bring in some, you know, just out of high school or some college students, or, you know, just new recruits, bring your enthusiasm to them and try to bring them to these meetings. And I think we can help develop some good, solid football here in the future in Alaska. The other thing also is last year, and I'm sharing this with people outside of the Anchorage Football Officials Association, we started a recruitment incentive program, and we got officials. We didn't get a lot, but it worked. It was a word of mouth, and we created. In fact, Eric, are you on here right now? I don't see Eric on here. Oh, I do see Eric. Eric, can you explain what we did for our recruitment last year?
Yeah, if I get some of the details wrong, by all means, help me out. But just off the top of my head, if you were to recruit an active on-field official that did, was it 25 games, Brian? I think it was 25. Yeah. So if you act, so in any capacity, if they were on the field doing a flag game, a JV game, C team, varsity chains, whatever, we would pay you and your recruit $100 bonus at the end of the season. And if you recruited an auxiliary official, so in other words, somebody who does clock and chains only, and that person did 25 games, you and that person would each have a $50 bonus at the end of the season. So a little financial carrot there to incentivize recruitment for our association.
Yep, and I think it worked well, Brian.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, to further incentivize, ASAA is not charging fees for first and second year officials. So if you are wanting to be a brand new official, it won't cost you anything to register and become certified through ASAA.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you. Thank you to the ASAA, seriously. Any ideas that you guys might have, if you think about them, bring them up here at a meeting, or send an email, or text me, call me. I am open for ideas. To be honest with you, our board of directors met last month, and find it real quick here. One of the ideas was brought up was, let's see here. Well, you just kind of can't see it here, but basically what it is, somebody asked me, what are the advertisement costs for the people mover? You know, to put a billboard on the side of the people mover. And so I actually went and looked up, and I got numbers for that. And who knows, maybe we can use an idea like this. So I'm actually going to present this to the board after this meeting here, and see what they think about it. You know, to be honest with you, I think that if, instead of just recruiting football officials, I think something like this might be more up for recruiting officials for all sports. And you know, if that be the case, maybe ASAA might invest some money with this, or share it with associations around the state. But that's just you know, somebody thinking outside the box. And so, you know, we've actually had people talk to us about maybe talking to some media. A lot of people don't read the newspaper like they used to. But is there social media idea platforms that we can dive into? I'm open for that. But you know, as far as the most the best way we've found so far is your word of mouth with your enthusiasm. So please
Bruce,
yes.
it's Nate Boleen. I've been wondering for a while about maybe creating like a front-facing Instagram page for the Football Association. I know we have our private Facebook group, but what if we had like a forum, and we'd probably get a lot more hits on it during the season. But what if we took pictures? I know sometimes especially you're good about this, taking pictures when it's like snowing and we're all out on the field, or you guys go to Barrow and, you know, Andrew's walking into the Gulf, is it the North Sea, right? There's lots of cool things that are happening. That article that Brian, that you guys had in Referee Magazine, I finally got to read last week. You know, some highlighting some of those things like on a front facing Instagram page that was public. And even if we wanted to take like the chance with it every now and then, discussing like rules and things like that maybe the public doesn't quite understand or doesn't quite get right. You know, we could throw some stuff out there. I don't know if that's the route we'd want to go with it, but at least showing like, hey, there's this fun group that's going on, and we could include information on there to contact, you know, like if you're interested in doing this or in getting involved or being a part. Just because, like you said, like people aren't really reading the paper anymore. But their social media feed's going to come across things like that, and they might decide to follow. You would just need someone dedicated to managing that, and I'm not volunteering. But if I don't even have an Instagram, but I'm just throwing that out there.
I like that. Let's think outside the box. Somebody mentioned to me just a little bit ago, maybe making a recruitment video and put it on some sort of a. I know, Brian, you made a video a couple years ago that was pretty fun. Maybe somebody might be interested in doing something like that, putting it on a social media platform.
I think those are great ideas. We can move forward with some of that, but most of us are probably above age 50, and you start throwing words out like Instagram that I can hardly spell, and it's way over my head. But absolutely, to start catching those younger guys, those are some great ideas.
Yeah. It looks like, Andrew, are you trying to figure out how to unmute yourself here? I think you had something to say here. There might be a little, looks like a microphone. There you go. I think you found it.
There we go. Sorry, I was trying to chime in, but it wouldn't let me. As you said, we're all kind of old school here. No, I've come to the conclusion I need to put. It's been since high school that I've made a recruitment video for the AFOA. Brian, I liked yours, but I want to make an updated one with a little bit more studio production. I actually have access to a studio now where I work, and it's a very nice one. So I was thinking we could even do like interviews or something like that with the OG guys and some of the new recruits and kind of get some perspective. And but it would be something that I would be working on throughout the season and into the winter, but I would have it ready pretty much before the next season. And I just want to put it all together, but it's just something I want to put out there. But I like if we had a social media to put it on other than just Facebook, I think that would be a good idea. Again, it would like Nathan said, it would be somebody having to actually monitor that. But it's doable. Again, I'm not, like he said, I'm not volunteering for that. That's a lot of but could be done.
You just did volunteer.
For the video, sir.
Like I said, you just did.
So you might get voluntold there, Andrew, Nathan.
I'm going to throw this back in Brian's court. Maybe ASA could teach classes on officiating. How many sports are there out there? I mean, that would be a great class to be able to teach somebody.
Yeah, I'll jump back in. Yes, it would be, but getting people to sign up for those classes, we've actually done that at the university level, offered officiating for like intramural programs. And basically it's like an athletic director kind of program where you learn to set up a gym. How does the gym look? How do you run an event as well as officiate an event? And unfortunately, the numbers that come out of that and actually then go into officiating are pretty small. But I have been in conversations with Julie over at UAA, who runs the intramural program. Anyway, another great idea.
Awesome. All right.
Just a brain fart.
Well, if anybody has any other ideas, we can go ahead and start tapping into some of the ideas we've just now recently talked about. But I really don't want to spend a whole lot of time here. I'm just happy to see everybody here as a group, but I do want to talk about the direction we're headed. So if I can share my screen with everybody here. Let me do that real quick here. All right, everybody see that?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I just kind of put together this little PowerPoint here, just like real quick here, before the meeting here. And our Anchorage Board of Directors has talked about what we want to focus on with our association this year. So last year we created a points of emphasis for Alaska specific. And so, and if you all remember last year, we focused a little bit on the pass interference categories. And so we're just going to touch base with that for a couple of minutes here just to help review that. But this PowerPoint is not necessarily the education. We're not going to learn all this stuff today. This PowerPoint is what I would like to, or what we would like to focus on for the season. So what I'm going to do is use this PowerPoint as a reference for the direction we're going to go with future online training. Okay.
Bruce, one item. Can you go to slideshow view?
Slideshow view.
Down in the lower right where you see the like the little screen at the bottom. If you click on that, you'll be in the slideshow view.
I do not see what you're talking about here. Lower right hand.
Either that, Bruce, or actually go up to the top and select slideshow and then hit play, because we're seeing kind of the view that you have when you build it.
Like that?
There you go.
Awesome. Okay, cool. All right. So welcome everybody to the 2024 season. Last year's high school, Alaska high school points of emphasis was focused on pass interference categories. And we talked about the defensive pass interference, 6 categories of defensive pass interference. Again, please don't sit here and think you have to memorize this. This is being recorded. We do plan to put this on YouTube. We do have a YouTube channel, and when it's on the YouTube channel, you all can go back and take a look at these, and then you can stop, pause, take a look at your these slides as we go through them. Okay. So again, we had 6 defensive pass interference categories: not playing the ball with early contact, playing over the back of a receiver, grabbing and restricting, holding somebody's arm down as they're trying to catch the pass, grabbing, hooking, and turning a receiver prior to the pass coming in, and then cutting somebody off their route. So those were the 6 defensive pass interference categories. I'll be honest with you, I white-capped a lot of games last year, and I got every single person who came to me with a pass interference told me one of the categories that they had. And I just want to thank everybody for that. I thought it was a very good way. It really minimized the pass interferences, the ghost pass interference that we've had in the past. So this really helped out a lot. And we will re-emphasize this later on during the in future trainings, okay? The offensive pass interference, again, we had 4 categories. So like an offensive player blocking beyond the expanded neutral zone, which is 2 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. A pick play, which is kind of blocking somebody out of the way and letting another receiver slide in. So again, that's blocking beyond the neutral zone, or creating a separation like a push off. And just as like the defensive pass interference, playing over or through the back of a defender. Okay. But for the 2024 high school football season, our points of emphasis is going to focus on penalty enforcement. And what we noticed this last year is we had a lot of crews that only the referee, the white cap, understood the enforcement. And I think we even had some, and I'll throw myself under the bus. I personally screwed up on a particular enforcement, and before we did the enforcement, I had a crew member save me. So this is why it's important that everybody on the crew knows penalty enforcements, as well as the yardage and understanding some basics with penalty enforcement, because it's nice to have a crew saver, somebody on the crew to help save me, because again, I'm old school. I've gone through a lot of rule changes over the, several years that I've been officiating. And it is really nice to have a fresh mind help me out. And so I'm going to personally thank Dan Murakami. You bailed me out last year, Dan. Okay, so thank you. So I want to start off with a penalty. A penalty is actually the enforcement of the foul. Okay, so when you throw a flag on a foul. You don't throw a penalty, because the penalty is actually just the enforcement of a penalty. So a coach wants to know whether he wants to accept the penalty or decline the penalty. Okay? You're going to hear terms like basic spot. Okay? You're going to hear, what is the previous spot? You're going to hear, well, is it the end of the run? The succeeding spot, or a post scrimmage kick. These are different things you're going to hear when you're learning foul enforcement. Okay. There are other penalties besides the basic spot penalty. Okay. There are things that special penalty enforcements. So penalties that are in the end zone. Was it a safety or was it a touchback? Is it enforced from the goal line or is it enforced from the touchback spot? So we're going to learn this as we go along in our future trainings. Some other fouls have other enforcements, special enforcements like roughing the passer, roughing the snapper, roughing the holder. So all the roughings have special enforcement. There's a special enforcement for kick catching interference. Again, we're not going to learn all that right now, but in future trainings, these are things we're going to go over and talk about. And then penalties that are during a score or right after a score. Okay, and also there are free kick out of bound penalties. So where are enforcement spots for those? There are post scrimmage kick enforcements. So you'll see PSK. For those that are new, we do have acronyms for some of the words that are quite long. So if you hear the word A meaning offense, B meaning defense, K meaning kicking team, and R meaning receiving team. So you'll hear a lot of these acronyms or letters determining whether it's offense or defense or receiving team or kicking team. So if you do have questions, please stop me, please ask. When we go on to these future trainings, I may start talking real quick. And if you need to slow me down, please slow me down. But I definitely, anybody that's new on here, please do not let this overwhelm you, because it sometimes takes a series of repetition to understand these things that we're going to go through. But for those that have experience, even a year or two experience, it becomes simplified. And I have some charts that come in. You're also going to hear whether it was a dead ball foul or a live ball foul. You're going to hear whether it's a multiple foul or double fouls. What are these things? And a multiple foul is several fouls by one team. And a double foul, meaning a foul by by both teams. And so we'll go into these categories as we move on. Another chart that you guys might see here, and this chart is it kind of helps out with a penalty, or excuse me, a foul committed by either the offense or the defense. Was it beyond the basic spot or behind the basic spot? Or is the penalty enforced from the basic spot, or is it the spot of the foul? And there is not one level on here, because last year we had a new enforcement spot, which is the previous spot. Again, don't want to confuse anybody. We will get to these and break these down in our future trainings here. Okay. Another summary chart, and this is a good one. This one is actually in the rule book. So if you do have an old rule book, obviously there's not a lot of changes with this new year rule changes. But this here is in last year's rule book, and this really helps simplify the enforcement spot, whether it was beyond the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage. Was it on the A, which is the offense, or B, the defense? And so it also gives good reference to where you can find that rule in the rule book. So this is actually at the very back of the rule book. And for those of us, and I do like flow charts, for those of us who like flow charts, here's a flow chart on double fouls. Okay, so a foul by either team, and it live ball fouls by both teams. Okay, other than a non-contact or unsportsmanlike or non-player foul. Was there a change of possession? Well, if it's yes, then you come down to, did the team with final possession prior to possession? And you follow the yes or the no. Was there a change of possession? No. Then you have offsetting fouls. And so this flow chart really helps some people. It helps me. My mind is a flow chart type of mind. I got to see it, experience it, and this is a way that I can see it and experience it. So I know some of you also have other learning habits that if you guys have ideas that we can add to this PowerPoint, I'm open to add to it. Okay. Also in the back of the rule book is a penalty summary. And here is really cool. The loss of, these are loss of 5-yard penalties, 10-yard penalties. And, oh wait, well, see, I got to fix this one because I don't have page 95 on here. I got page 94 on here twice, you guys. Why didn't somebody catch that? So I will update this, but you'll notice though in the back of the book, it does give the foul, the reference, and it also gives the signal for the foul. Okay. And that's it. Thank you. And how do I stop the share here? Okay. So I plan to start with that PowerPoint for our next presentation. And if we're going to start off really basic, and we're going to probably start off with live and dead ball fouls, and maybe even start off with a little bit of what is a basic spot. Are there any suggestions that maybe we might do something different or add to that?
No, Bruce, I think you're kind of on the right track as starting out very basic, even for those who are experienced and have a lot of opportunities to have called football and seen football. It's always a good review, but it's also very surprising at times how many people don't quite pay attention, or they rely on someone with a little more experience, such as the referee during a game. And really when it comes to penalty enforcement, it's a crew thing. And if one guy goofs it up, the truth is we all have goofed it up. So starting very small and basic is a great review for those experienced, and hopefully an opportunity for those that are new, just to kind of get a good taste of it as we dive into the season.
Another thing is that we all have different views of what happened during a play. And sometimes what the person who threw the flag didn't see either the beginning or the ending. And we all, it's like food, you know, you go somewhere and you get food, you season it to your taste. You get salt and pepper and you put that in. But when you start the season, you season what your eyes will look at, and it is a group. You know, you are a team. So never forget that. If you see something that could hurt the team, always bring it up. You're never too young or too old to be corrected if it's for the good of the game.
Yes, Harold, I 100% agree with that. If it looks weird, sounds weird, talk about it, bring it up. Let's just not assume that your white cap is doing it right, because I have failed, and I've had, fortunately, more successes than failures, but my failures, again, you know, need to be helped out by the rest of the crew. And again, thank you, Dan.
You know, it just so happens, I think that when we're doing these trainings, it's always good to see examples. And I know you guys do a really good job about putting that in there. But when you can see it happening and we're explaining a rule and then you see it, I know for me, it's clicked so many times that I say, oh, that's what I'm looking for. And especially on, you know, pass interference and some of the holding calls and things like that. If I can see it and then somebody say, that's what we're talking about, it clarifies it for me, and it makes it really easy for me to watch for that in a game, because maybe my focus wasn't on that previously. You know, so again, you know, I would say, Bruce, as you do this, I love it. I know you do a good job with it, you know, throwing the videos and the examples out there of what it is you're talking about.
Well, that being said, one of the things that I think that what we can do, if you're in Anchorage, maybe what we can do is, in our future Zooms here, maybe we can meet together at a location, and while we're doing the Zoom, or immediately before or after the Zoom, we can actually go through and do some film review. We had a film review session after, oh boy, that was in January, I think. Eric, help me out with that. Was that in January?
I feel like it was more like end of November, beginning of December time frame, but probably beginning of December.
Okay. Well, we had 10 of us there, I think. I don't know, maybe less than that. Maybe we only had 7 or 8. But the point is, though, is that the group we had that got together, I think we learned something, not just about the plays that we watched, but we learned something about each other. And I think, you know, working together off the field helps us work together on the field. So, Brian, are you up for maybe hosting at your office there?
Yeah, and I think Dan's absolutely right. We can talk about a lot of these things, but to actually review and see examples is probably one of the best ways, aside from live snaps and being there during game action, but to be able to review some of those types of fouls so that we really get a sense of what we're looking at. So yes, We will have some opportunities to meet at the ASAA office. We'll use the big screen, which is unfortunately through Zoom, depending upon your connectivity and your speed, the videos don't always play so well going from my computer through the internet to your computer. So having that opportunity to see it live, see it in person is much better. But you know, for some of us, though, that's our only opportunity to get out there is via Zoom. So we'll do what we can. But Dan's right. Let's watch some film.
Great. You know, another platform, and I can tell you this, Alvin, you've been doing this. I know you've been doing this. Alvin is following a YouTube channel, and it is the EFOA, the Evergreen Football Officials Association. This association has 4 or 5 guys that put out videos, and they put out videos pretty regular, and some of them are real short, some of them are a little bit extended, and some of them have a little humor to them as well. But I have learned from every single one of these videos, and I learned, you know, what we look like on film, even though it wasn't me and my crew. Some of the time that it takes for us to discuss a penalty, I've seen videos, and Alvin, maybe you can help me out with this. The most recent one was like a penalty enforcement from the EFOA. Alvin, do you remember that one? Just recently, you talked to me about it.
Yeah, it involved a foul on a try, where they had basically they had an illegal formation. They had 5 men in the backfield, and so the crew backed the team up 5 yards. And for some reason, the coach was irate and couldn't believe why the crew had called that particular penalty. And before the snap of the 5-yard enforcement, one of the officials threw a flag for an unsportsmanlike conduct on the coach. And so the question became where would that enforcement be? Could it be on the try, or could it be on the succeeding kickoff? So, I mean, it just made you think, and looking at the rule enforcement as to what if he had the choice. And he didn't really have the choice, because it came basically on the first penalty enforcement is when that should have been enforced. And so it just gets you to think when you look at it on some of these YouTube. And like Bruce mentioned, there's a lot of instances, 1 to 2 minutes, just to kind of get your brain going, and they'll have a little question. You make the call, and it just reinforces and helps you in your various aspects of the game.
You know, also, Alvin, I scroll down to comments, and I actually learn some from their comments, you know, and because these videos are watched, but not just within their association. These videos are watched nationwide. Oftentimes I've been one of their first viewers. Somebody will put one out, and I happen to be on YouTube at the time, and boom, no views, nobody's viewed it yet, and I'll be their first viewer. And I've actually jumped in and made a few comments as well. And so it's good to learn from their comments as well. So another platform is the MIBT. And Brian's a member of MIBT. I am as well. But Brian's a very active member of MIBT. And MIBT is a nationally recognized educational platform. And I think they do more than just football, right, Brian?
That's correct. They do baseball, softball, basketball. So if you officiate other sports, you might want to at least consider, you can go to YouTube and look up MIBT and see recorded trainings that have already taken place. But what you might find by being a member is participating in the live discussions is a lot of fun. You learn a lot because you get a lot of different perspectives from across the country on how differently people might observe a play.
And also oftentimes if you get a lot of times MIBT will have special guests, and one of their regular special guests, actually I think he is like one of the creators of MIBT, I don't know, is Bill Lamontier, and Bill's been a Whitecap for NCAA, and I think he does video review or play review somewhere, I'm not sure. And actually, Brian, you've been a guest on their platform as well. But guys from Orange County have been on there, in California, different places. And there's some really good insights from a lot of these speakers, guests, and as well as the discussions that come out of this, because we're not all going to be on the same page. But the
Hey, Bruce.
Yes, go ahead, Bob.
What was that first website that you talked about? I didn't write it down. I got the MIBT, but what was the other one? I sorry to interrupt.
EFOA.
E as in Edward.
Yep.
F as in Frank. OA. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yep. And they've got, like I said, they've got 4 or 5 guys that put out different videos for that one association. So they've done a really good job. Well, that's about all I have right now. I think we'll probably put together another training and start focusing a little bit more on penalty enforcement training, probably within the next month or so, depending on when we all can kind of get together the best. And I'm really happy to see the amount of people we have on here today. It's exciting. And if you're new to our group here, please hang out a little bit. We'd like to get to know you. Is there anything anybody else wants to talk about, discuss?
Hello, I have a quick question. My name is Caleb. I'm a Fairbanks official.
How you doing, Caleb?
I'm doing pretty good. So as far as I know, our officials association doesn't do any recording here. And so would there be a way that I could, I assume you guys use Huddle or, some type of platform to go over film. Is there a way that I could be added to that?
That's a very good question. There is no Huddle for any referee association in Alaska right now.
Okay.
We have looked into it, but a couple of us, I think 3 or 4 of us that are on here right now, actually are guests, or I should say a coach on some of the teams' Huddle. And so like I've got 5 teams on my Huddle that I am a coach on their Huddle. Brian, I think you've got 4 or 5. Alvin, I think you've got some. I think Eric Wigscheider, I think you've probably got more than me, Eric. But between what we have right now, I think we can cover most of the games in the state. I think, Bob, I think you're on a Huddle as well, right? Bob, are you on Juneau Huddle?
Hey Bruce, this is Mike Crab. Yeah, Rich Suros gave us access to it so we could watch the films and stuff.
Oh, good. I'm glad. You know what? Now that I hear you say that, I remember you mentioning that to me. Yeah, Rich got me onto his Huddle as well. So it's really nice to have that. Mike, you guys review games, don't you?
Yeah, we do every Sunday after the weekend game while it's still fresh and we can see where we need to make improvements at.
Well, I think you guys do well at reviewing game film, and we would like to actually get to your level here in Anchorage. It's just really difficult when we've got 40 people, but that's why we're trying to maybe gather at Brian's office to do some film study, so we can get together as a bigger group.
Hey, Bruce and Brian, last year you guys had talked about, developing crews and trying to get core crews and then, do some different things since we weren't going to be doing the peninsula. You know, I don't know if any thoughts gone into that, or if there's, or if that's something you would do, but that might be a good way to tighten things up so that, you know, watching video with specific crews might be a lot easier to do, and, you know, really gain some insights and you know, put all that together for a specific crew, or maybe a couple of crews, or something like that.
Brian, what do you think about that?
Yeah, Dan, we actually have had some of those conversations, and I think there are some real benefits for developing crews. The flip side of that, though, is we don't want to create a good old boys appearance. And there's a side of me that when you have crews that that potentially can leave certain individuals out, and we don't want to do that. There's that aspect, and the aspect that you really enjoy, that you get to know those guys. It's a double-edged sword if you want to look at it that way. I also enjoy the opportunity to work with a variety of different people. So we're bouncing some of those ideas around. And now you throw in the idea that we are no longer officiating down along the peninsula. So we can really possibly focus more on what we do here in Anchorage, and what that looks like. We're still up in the air.
Chime in real quick. I'm in favor of making crews, because it just really helps out with communication, and you know, being able to know when and, you know, where your you know, your teammate is, and at any given moment you can look up at your teammate and know what their body language is. I feel like there's a lot of benefits to it. You know, also, you know, like what Dan was saying, it's a lot easier to get, you know, 5 or 6 guys together, or gals, I'm sorry, together, to you know, have a barbecue and watch some game film, as opposed to getting 50, 40, 50 guys and gals together to watch game films.
I'm going to ask Wendell. You are down on the peninsula, is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, I do remember you. Do you guys have any, what's your numbers looking right now?
Last time I asked, Pablo is the one that's putting it together with Sarge Truesdale. So last time I found out from him during the basketball season, when I asked him, we're looking at probably 15 guys now. But we are still recruiting some more, because we have some guys from Homer joining in, and so that's a good sign. We haven't had our meeting yet, but we will have it here soon, and then we'll confirm how many people we have so far. But that's the number I got from
Wendell Palm said today at 22 is the number he was at.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
It's up from the last time I asked him. So it's 22 now.
Yeah, I just saw him, a couple hours ago.
We've been actively, even on the radio, asking for people to join the officials for football here in the peninsula. So that's a good sign then.
I am super glad to hear that. Pat, are you on the peninsula as well?
Yes, sir.
Pat is here with us, yeah.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Well, I did reply. Eric asked me to record this. And so Brian is recording it right now. Once I get the video, I'll upload it to the YouTube, and then you can share this with your group. And then all the future, we would like to get them on board here, but we definitely will be adding our training, our Zoom trainings that we do record to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, sounds good. I haven't been rushing I did it for like 3 years, and then I stopped because my son was playing. So I'm back on it again now.
Well, I remember you being on the chains and Joe Mato out there trying to recruit you, right,
Yeah. There you go, Joe. My
Joe?
son's graduating, so I'm back.
Yeah, I worked on him every game I saw him.
I know you did, Joe, and I'm really proud of you for that. Thank you.
Hey guys, I gotta tap out for the night.
All right.
I gotta make it to the gym before they close. So y'all have a good night.
Thanks, Andrew. Anybody else have anything they want to talk about? I'm going to stick around here for a few minutes afterwards. And if you have any, personal questions, or maybe you want to, give me your contact information. If I don't have it, please hang out, and look forward to seeing you. And I will share our new opportunities for training soon in the future. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, Bruce.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment on the forming crews.
Yes.
You know that the Anchorage Association, we had a real bad experience with that. There was a crew, and they did every single game. They would go down and do the Kenai games, and then come up and do all the games up in Anchorage, and nobody else got in any games. And so that's why the Anchorage Association has been so dead set against crews.
Yeah, Ken, in fact, I was there then, you were there then. And what Ken's talking about, and to be honest with you, it's kind of what Brian said. Brian brought up a quote, good old boys club. We broke the mold many years ago. But we're trying to come up with new ideas to maybe do a basic, maybe not a full 5-man crew, but maybe a three, and then say 3 basic, and then we have 2 young new people coming in with an alternate or something. We haven't really come up with an answer yet, but we're bouncing some ideas, because what Andrew was talking about and Dan was talking about was very important. That it's really good to know your crew, and if you don't work a lot of games with each other, you have to relearn your crew each and every game. So
to me, it's just it prohibits new people from getting into the association. And why would they want to? Because there's going to be, like Brian was saying, the good old boys are going to be doing all the games, and you're just going to drag chains forever and ever and ever until you can become a part of a crew, and then that crew is the only one that works.
Ken, how many years did you drag chains before you got a varsity game?
I drug chains for a good 3 or 4 years before I got into before I even got a freshman game.
Right. Yeah, before you even got a high school game. That's not a varsity game. It probably took you 5 years plus to get a varsity game.
Exactly, and it was like a big ceremony when I got my very first varsity game.
Yep. So with the low numbers we have right now, most everybody's working upper level ball. And so, we just want, that's why we're having this forum, and we're trying to spread it out statewide, because the coaches still want more consistency. And I think we gave them a good show last year. I think they liked what they saw, and they want us to continue with what we're doing. So.
Yeah, and some of those good old boys, remember, they separated off and they formed the Valley League, and they did all the Valley games. And it got to the point to where the Valley high schools were begging us to come over and start doing their games, because they were getting tired of seeing the same 5 people every game.
Yep, that is true. Very much. All right, well, thank you. I thought today was pretty good. And I think that our future trainings are going to be a little bit more focused on penalty enforcement.
Hey, Bruce, I do have one more thing to add about the mixed crews and a regular crew.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew and Dan made excellent points on consistency, which we're all looking for. But the mixed crews, and even with my experience, I learned different things from different guys just about every game I work with them. And I think if we have a set crew of 3 or 4, we're going to lose passing the knowledge on to somebody else. And also, not just watching what you're doing, but there's conversations at timeouts or halftime situations or penalties, and we all learn from each other out there. And I think if we put too much in on one side and not enough on the other, we're going to lose our knowledge. And that's about all I had for it.
Hey, can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, I'm not against crews per se, but there is something really refreshing about a coach when he sees a crew show up and goes, "Oh, I haven't seen you for a while. Hey, I'm glad to have you here." And back to what Ken was saying, when you get the same crew over and over and over, it gets monotonous. So having a fresh face on your crew, let alone having a fresh crew show up to your game, has got to be something that we need to consider.
Can I jump in on this too? When as an official, when you work with different people, you have to come in with an open mind. So when you become stale and everything becomes repetitious when you do it with the same people. But when you've got a different wide wing this time, and you've got a different white cap, you got a different umpire, you have to if you know your position, you have to know what the other people are going to be doing. So you have to have an open mind. You have to be ready to do what's necessary to give the kids what they deserve. So you don't want to become complacent. That's what same crews do. They become complacent because I know where he's going to be. I know where but he slipped back there and you didn't realize it because you figured he was going to be there. So you have to be open-minded and have and be in shape.
Thank you, Harold.
And I mean with your
I didn't
mind
mean to
as your
open up a
body.
can of beans there. I didn't mean to open a can of beans. I know we just talked about it at one point. And, I've never worked on a consistent crew, so I don't know the pros and cons of it. I haven't been around that long, like Ken and some of the others. So anyway, I just thought I'd bring it up. So there you go.
I'm going to change the topic real quick. Wendell, when Bruce sends these emails out, will you make sure to forward that to your 14 or 15 or 16 guys that you got down there, including Sarge and Eric? Make sure that they get it, and feel free to share that, because we want to make sure that we include as many folks as we can. And we're willing we'd love to have as many people join these trainings, and so we're all on the same page. So please share that. Thank you.
Hey, Wendell,
Yes.
how did you get this notice? Did you get it from Eric, or did you get it from Joe, or?
I get it from Eric, and Eric sent it to everybody that was on the list of. So that's how I got this training.
Okay. Would you mind sharing your email with me?
Sure. So my email is my first name Wendell, Wendell, last name Tuisaula @gmail.com. So first name, last name @gmail.
Perfect. All right. And Pat, what about you?
I think he left.
Yeah, you could share
Oh.
with me anytime. I'm in the school,
Yeah,
so Eric's down the hallway, so it's easy for me to share. I know Sarge is going to be our trainer for the group. And then I shared with him materials today, some of the stuff that you gave me from the last time I officiated with you guys and with Wendell and all them. And so I tried to jumpstart kind of a little bit of that here this past.
That sounds good. What I'll do is I'll just start accumulating everybody's email, and eventually I'll just send it out to everybody. But in the meantime, I'll send it to Eric, and I'll I'll send it out to Eric. Wendell, I've got your email address, and we'll go from there. You guys can just spread it out.
That's goalie interference.
Say what?
Shit. Oh shit, I'm off mute. Sorry, Bruce. This is Tom.
Oh, hey, Tom.
I was watching the hockey game too.
Okay. All right. All right. Hey, by the way, congratulations, Tom, with your son's basketball championship this year. It was really good.
No, I was impressed with the other teams. I mean, that Monroe and Thunder Mountain, they got some athletes. They really do. So, but it was a good tournament. Good tournament. So.
Good, good. All right. So, Sean, I'm Bruce. What are you, where are you from?
Kenai.
Kenai. Okay, cool, cool. So you're
yeah. I just talked to Sarge this afternoon when I was leaving the school, and yeah, I just opened the email, and sorry for being tardy, but I'm really interested in